I'm very well, and yourself?
Amazing, as usual. Everything is fine here.
Thank you so much for joining me on our live webinar about DAP and DDP. And finally, we would like to know who will win, DAP or DDP in our battle today. So I would like to ask you some questions. What do you think about DAP and DDP? For example, you have the Incoterms by invoice or pro forma invoice, DAP 2020, the seaport or airport named, and who will be responsible? Who will be responsible in this case? Um, like a courier or the importer has to be responsible in this case. So I would like to ask you and to answer to this question. And before you will start this, I would like to introduce Uzama. He's a huge experienced logistics expert in this sphere, and he is also my friend. And I'm very glad to see him on our today webinar. So I'm the floor is yours, and yeah, thank you so much. And I'm muting and your words.
Thank you very much, Katarina. The topic is so interesting that who will win, DAP or DDP? I think first of all, we should tell our audience that who introduced DAP or DDP or what are these terms DAP or DDP? So basically, when the global trade exploded in 1960s and 70s. More and more shipping lines and air cargo, air freighters start coming. So countries start facing issues on the liability matrix. Who will take responsibility to do the clearance, to do the transportation, to do the packaging, to take responsibility about the insurances. So International Chamber of Commerce came up with the idea. The idea was already there, but the people were not adopting. So UN Charter, the International Chamber of Commerce, they introduced something called Incoterms. There are more than 20, 25 Incoterms. Few of them are very commonly used, like EXW, which is what we call X-Works, CIF, DAP, DDP, FOB. So today our topic, as you mentioned, is who will win DAP or DDP. So I have prepared for our audience a basic slide just for them to understand what is that. So DAP, let me start with basics. It means deliver at place. What does it means? That whoever is taking responsibility will come to responsibility. That that person or the company will be responsible to transport the goods to the decided place. For example, I'm just giving small example. If you, Katerina, is supplying equipment to me wherever I am, so you can tell me, Osama, I will take responsibility as DAP till Dubai Airport. Okay, we can mention this here, Dubai Airport. So, as a buyer, I will be knowing that Katrina will supply the goods till Dubai Airport. Just giving example and give taking the name of the country or the city. So, DAP is purely the responsibility on the seller. So, in this case, in my example, Katrina is selling to me, which means she is going to take responsibility to transport the goods to me. But there is a catch that she will just do the transportation part of it. But if something comes to the customs tariff for my country where I am living right now, the duties, the taxes, the value added taxes, or any other kind of taxes, that will be responsibility on me because Katrina doesn't know that how much customs will charge on the product. So this is very safe actually. Most of the sellers are adopting this. They are saying we will take a responsibility on the transportation part of it, but we will not take responsibility for the import, the duty, taxes, or VAT. But here's the catch. One more thing. There is other term which is called DDP, almost similar to DAP, but it is included the taxes. It is including the VAT. It is included the any kind of the customs fees belongs to me. In this particular example, if Katrina is selling to me something, anything, if she sell to me, she will take responsibility for the transportation. She will transport the goods to me, to my warehouse. Plus, she will take responsibility for the clearances into my country. She will take responsibility, the duties, the taxes, the value added taxes, or anything else belongs to customs. But one more thing I want to mention, which I have prepared here. So DAP is very clear, DDP is clear. DAP means the seller take responsibility up to the buyer without the duty or taxes. And DDP means seller will take responsibility up to the buyer, including the custom duty and taxes. All right, Katrina. Now, I want to tell something. International Chamber of Commerce says that in DAP, seller take all the responsibility, buyer takes all the responsibility for the import clearances, duty, taxes, and DDP seller takes everything. But there is one particular thing which I want to mention here to my audience. Not always the seller knows how much duty and taxes will be to the imported country. For example, if Katrina is transferring or she is selling something from EU to me, I'm in Middle East, she will not know how much duty taxes VAT will come. Here is something comes up like third party logistics companies. I don't want to take name. People know so many companies are available, shipping companies. If Katrina gives the task to them, they will go to the Arabian countries. They will check their customs rules and regulation, and then they will go back to Katrina that look, Katrina, if you want to ship something to Middle East, this, for example, there will be like 10% taxes on it. So the Katrina job is to understand the import countries rule also. So DDP is not always simple. DDP comes with a lot of obligations on the seller. And sometimes, which is mentioned here, sometimes the seller will need the support from the buyer. In this particular example, I'm the buyer. So seller may need to ask me, Osama, what is your customs code? Will you provide any authorization letter for us to perform the import clearances or not? So I personally feel, Katrina, your question, the who will win DAP or DDP, if I am a new buyer, I don't know logistics, I don't know anything about logistics. As a buyer, I will definitely push for DDP because I don't want to take any hassle. But if I'm an expert, if I'm a logistics or supply chain person, I may go for DAP because I want to control the import duty and taxes. So for a beginner, if you ask me, for a beginner, DDP will win, definitely win. But for an expert, if someone knows the rules and regulation, the DAP will win. What do you think?
Thank you, Zaman. Thank you so much. Uh, I would like to argue for winner for the beginner and for a very experienced importer. Because if you have experienced or beginner importer and you are working as a seller exporter, if you are working with high qualified courier or logistics company or logistics provider, this logistics provider probably has its representative office in the country. He's exporting, his client is exporting all the goods. So it probably would be better because, of course, if they have a local office, they know all the taxes, duties, and they know also how much they will have to pay in the final destination, and also the last mile delivery, also the handling, also the customs. And if you are working on a basic daily, so you know all these expenses for import before you are importing or before you are exported from your seller. So if but all the expenses should be mentioned in the invoice. For example, if you are accounting only the expenses from the side of the exporter, it's customs clearance for exporter, only a transport for exporter, and the final port of destination, and you are not counting in the value the price for customs clearance and the last mile delivery in the import of country. So the DDP won't win in this case, and it would be better to change or to replace the documents. But it is rather difficult, because if you already passed the export in the country of exporter, the documents already passed with 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 wrong Incoterms like DAP or DDP, But also you can apply to customs house and to send to so many letters and with explanations that the wrong documents had been done. It was automatically or something like this. So, but the customs house doesn't like such kind of occasions. That's why they will have probably more questions, more restrictions to such import, to such kind of goods. And also, if this company will be under control of tax house also, and the customs house. So before on my opinion, before starting export or import, the seller and buyer, exporter and importer, they should sit around the table and discuss who will pay for what and who will be responsible. In the end, the buyer will pay for everything, but who will be responsible for which part, and where, and how they will include all these expenses in the invoice. So that's my opinion. And what do you think, Uzama?
Yeah, definitely. Let me just allow me to share the screen for a moment. Let me just hold down, guys. Let me know once the screen is visible.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Katrina. So, as you rightly mentioned, Katrina, yes, ultimately the buyer is paying everything, and it is about the responsibility as a liability. So, practically, if you ask me, I belongs to the Arabian world. Here, the rules, every country has a different. For example, just to give a high level example, if somebody is selling as a DDP to the country, yes, you are 100% right. The charges for the transportation must be mentioned on the invoice, and ultimately the buyer is paying those charges. But if somebody is selling as a DDP, the delivery duty paid, they still have to take a permission from the buyer to issue the authorization. So the on the arrival of the shipment, the import clearance can be performed. Without buyer consent, this is not possible. But I'm talking about in my area. But if you go to the US, for example, in there, buyer can act as a importer of record. So for example, if I am the buyer, I am sitting in USA, and seller is sitting in somewhere in Arabian countries, so that seller can act as an importer of record in USA. So they probably will not need my as a buyer assistance to perform the DDP activities. Yes, they will be communicating the logistics expert, sitting together, as you rightly mentioned. and discuss that how much it will be. We are going to take responsibility for a DDP, how much charges, and those charges must be mentioned on the invoice, and those charges must be tallied according to the rules and regulation as per the country. But in that case, the seller can act as a IOR, exporter of record and importer of record both. But on the other way around, as I mentioned earlier, if I am sitting in Arabian countries, the seller cannot act of record. The buyer the buyer must provide the authorization, and buyer must act as an importer of record. Every country has a different rules and regulation. Just to give one more idea, some countries does not even require to mention the freight charges on the performa invoice or invoice. They don't want to. They take the charges from the seaway bill or the airway bill. I mean, country to country it varies. The continent to continent it varies. So the custom officer may say, okay, you don't have a charges mentioned on the invoice, no problem, but you must have charges mentioned on the shipping bill of lading or the airway bill, and they capture those charges for the freight, the transportation from that document. So in this slide, as I am now presenting, so if you notice, DDP may fit, as I mentioned, and this is my opinion. I mean, as I mentioned, it depends on country to country where we are living right now. DDP means that seller can arrange import, seller can do the customs clearance, seller can do duty and taxes, seller can do everything, but it as per the International Chamber of Commerce. But some countries, like in Arabian countries, yes, seller can do everything, but they still need the authorization, the power of attorney from the importer. Whereas in USA, as I gave example, the seller can do everything. Seller can become importer of record and perform the clearance activities through their third party logistics service provider, the experts, and they can fit. But DAP may fit if buyer is an importer. If buyer takes all the responsibility and seller takes responsibility of the transportation, DA may fit. So you 100%, I mean, just few minutes back you mentioned about before quotation, before we going to do bidding, before any agreement is going to happen. These things which I mentioned here, let me point out this one. Before we do the quotation, definitely what are the terms must be there, like is it DAP up to the airport or seaport, or DDP up to the airport or seaport, or up to the warehouse of the customer, who will be importer? Because yes, there are taxes, duty, VAT are embedded to the charges. Who makes the entry? Who will perform the clearance activity? What will be the charges? And custom representation. This is what I wanted to say, the power of attorney. Who will provide that? Unfortunately, Katrina, in my world, the supply chain managers or logistics managers, they does not know much about these things, honestly speaking, and we face a lot of issues. We, as a third party logistics provider, and you are also one of the experts in that industry, you have to educate them. We have to keep telling them that, guys, before while the time of doing the contract, why you did not check the all those things, because this is ultimately the liability, and we have to keep educating them. And even the people sitting in the industry for more than 10 years, we still have to go and teach them that this is what exact meaning of DDP and this is what exact meaning of DAP. Yes, Katrina, what do you want to say?
I would like to thank you so much for all your experience and for clear explanation for us and for our audience. And I would like to
So
say,
who is winning? I think both are winning. But
I think
depending which continent, yeah, depending the country to country.
it depends. It depends where we are or finishing our responsibilities as an exporter. and when we are starting our responsibilities as the importer. There is no a winner and loser. All these Incoterms like DAP and DDP, you can win with all of them. And I would like to thank, because we have so many guys from Qatar, from US, from Turkey, and from also from EU, Arabian United Emirates. Thank you so much for joining us. And I would like to thank my friend Uzama to joining us today. And I invite every guys who are joining us now. And we have in our followers for our next webinars and also for our trainings where we are explaining more detailed about all Incoterms abbreviations, about customs clearance in different countries, because I'm from Ukraine, and I'm Ukrainian. I know so many rules and authorities from Ukrainian country. Also, I'm based now in EU Germany. So Uzeba is very experienced in logistics and export imports as I am. So I would like to invite all of you to join us for next time and to discuss. Every Also, we have some people from Azerbaijan. Thank you so much, guys. Really, Uzama, we are very popular. So I'm very thanking all of you guys. You are joining us and you are really spending this time with us. And if you have any interesting subjects to be discussed from me and from Uzama, I would be very appreciate to share behind this webinar after we over. And thank you, Uzama, for this interesting discussion, for all slides you presented to us. And thanks, really.
Problem, Katrina. Thank you very much, everybody. And Katrina, I think the next session should be something to do with X works and DDP because this is going to be
Yes,
raw. Because X works and DDP are totally opposite. I mean, we all know, but so many people doesn't know about that. And the liability metrics totally change when we talk about EXW and DDP. I mean, like you rightly mentioned, in USA, the customer border protection, because I am also part of manufacturing of textile. I mean, we have our family business too. So we are facing challenges in US border and protection control and so many things I learned in last 1 year, that what are the legal ways around which mostly third party logistics companies are not telling the buyers or not telling the sellers. And similarly, even EU, so many, I mean, we all know the T1 clearance, like you clear in one country and you can transport to the other countries while paying the proper taxes and all. But even in EU, if someone as is mentioned the fully charges of the freight on the truckway bill or seaway bill or airway bill, still there are discrepancy which importer has to take care of them when they are paying the duty and taxes or VAT to the government. So there are small disputes, and who will win? The people, the experts, the supply chain logistics manager who knows the Incoterms. And if we really go for Xworks and EDP, so many things will clear, and we will definitely prepare the proper workflow. We prepare the proper presentation and some case studies for the real companies, so people can understand what I'm talking about. Because to speaking a theory is more easier than to be in the field and giving the guidance according to the practical knowledge. Thanks, Katrina.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, thank you so much. And see you next time soon. See you guys.
Take care. Bye bye, guys.